Hi, I am Alessandra, and I'm going to share my screen and my slides. I talk about young family members, the most hidden part of the iceberg. I'm going to talk about a little research on family members of problem gamblers led in Italy, in Piacenza, by the practitioner of the Iceberg project and served. We try to support family members with a guide of the steps, 5 steps and book, and more recently using the real 5-step method in the most correct and effective way. Young family members are victims of passive gambling, and their suffering have left marks in us, in our colleagues. Meeting these young children and relatives is shocking because of the level of suffering and silence they share. They don't talk about the problem that the gambling created for them and their family with anyone, and they are worried to talk about it. They often take an overwhelming responsibilities to trying to fix what can be patched up by working and making sacrifices of all kinds. They have strong emotions, very angry, always alone. Some have mental and physical health problems, and safety remains an open and painful question. They have often learned not to stir up trouble at home. We asked these young family members what helped them most and was hardest for them. Don't wake sleeping dogs. The prevailing attitude of addiction workers when it comes to young family members is not to cause further suffering, so they generally tend to avoid involving them as much as possible in the treatment of their relative gamblers. If young family members do not show up, they are not summoned. If their parents or relatives do not ask for help for them, nothing is offered. Gamblers and their adult family members always say that children and siblings are fine, they not suffered anything. What the young family members told us is quite different. This is our group and our questionnaire. Young family members, 8 daughters, 2 sons, 1 sister, and 4 wives. The questionnaire is divided into 6 parts, and the answers can range from 0 to 3 open and closed questions. The first questions are about the burden. How old were they when the gambling problem started, and then what was the burden of these things: financial problems, uncertainty, health problems, quarrels, violence, relationship, worries and fears, feeling being alone in the situation, or other. The positive things we tried to ask about how much was the help given from people, family members, ABC, people outside the family, ABC, institutions and practitioners, ABC, and then thoughts and reflection they made, experiences, things they do, or other. If they did the 5-step method, how did they find it helpful overall, the parts of the method, and at the end, what do you like others to know about your experience as a young family member of a problem gambler? The burden is a bit shocking. A lot of 3, very, very few 0, and then 1 and 2. Looking at their burden, the average maximum was 36, is 55.76. They have gambling has been part of the lives of these young people for an average of 14 years. But for children, this is more than 18. Since the children are not 26 on average, almost a quarter of their lives they have lived with a problematic gambling close relative. This is shocking. These are their free comments to the bird: worse than that, ruin, cancer. I was more a parent to my parent than a child. Lies really do await a lot. Things are coming to help and support people, thoughts. So, highest possible total is 57. When it comes to help, they give various scores to people within and outside the family, unexpectedly high scores to practitioners and institution, and they talk about us. This is the situation. Very few. Help and support, good scores to their own thoughts and experiences, high scores to the 5 steps or parts of the 5 steps, high scores to the message they would like to give. Comparing burden with positive, subtracting difficulties from positive data, we found that 8, so slightly more than half of the young people, have a positive balance, and slightly less than a half have a negative one. 10 over half have a relative who does not want or get to stop gambling, continues to lie, has also other problems. We expected that it would be the relative of these difficult gamblers who would suffer the most. This is true for some, but not for all. And it struck us that 3 young people with a very difficult gambler have a positive balance of 10, and the other 7 have a negative balance. So this is the comparison. You can see here the negative and the positive. This is higher, bigger, uh, 10, 10, 10, and then the other. The impact of, we have noticed that the 4 guys who did not take the 4 steps all had a negative balance. Then we removed the scores given to the 5-step paths from the positive count, and the result is shocking, at least for us. We found that by removing the 5-step, all the balances are negative except for 1, which only comes to +1 anyway. The negative balances become staggering, and we realized that even the 5 steps done before the training and accreditation help these young men and women, even in the presence of heavy diagnosis of the children themselves. Visualizing this with the 5-step and without, this is with 5 steps and without. It's awful. The help they give themselves is the most interesting part for us. And we asked these questions. These are the wonderful quotation. Try to understand the university. A trip with a brother who gambled and with the other youngest brother, and it was wonderful to be together and doing wonderful things, only being together. Another girl looked for help to understand and maintain a social network, thinking that I can talk to someone, and being taking uncertainty for something certain, and slowly coming to the realization that the father was ill and not bad, and that she can leave home. What would you like the world to know? And how do they value this idea? And this is these are their words. We are powerless. Use the full path to gain awareness what the 5-step. Don't underestimate others' behavior. Ask why they change. Save your children. I had nothing good behind me, so I had to build something good for myself. Something good can come out of such a negative experience. I love my brother. All human beings can make mistakes, but nothing is permanent except death. Tolstoy said it. Nobody is stronger than statistics. You can't beat the system, you just don't win. A minor. What we would like the world to know is this: under the iceberg, there are many young people who would like someone to give them a hand, an ear, an arm, a head, legs, and feet. It is true that they are hidden, but it is also true that when they find a practitioner who listens to them, who believes their stories and does not judge them as exaggerated or far fetched, who supports them and works with them, even for a little piece of their journey, it is something important to them. All the darkness in the world cannot extinguish the light of a single candle.